to Urban Rhino Tutorials. Today I'm going to show you how to make a beaded segment bracelet. My students in class receive a template which looks similar to this, and we use that to plan out what beads they want to have on each little segment. So the idea is that they are going to have a series of eye pins that have beads on them, and you can use seed beads or the Miyuki beads, and you can get these at Hobby Lobby, or I order them in bulk from Panda Hall, which is where I get a lot of my jewelry supplies, especially if you're buying a lot at a time. But the nice thing about the Miyuki beads is that they are all cut the exact same. They're the exact same size, the hole is the same size, whereas with the seed beads, there are variations in the sizes. Even though they all are what we use, 2 millimeters, they can vary, which could throw your pattern off. So, regardless, either one of those works fine for this. You could even use rocaille beads if you preferred, if you wanted bigger beads on there. But the idea is that their segments, when they have the beads on them, should line up and create a pattern. So they get the template, they color in the squares. I just photoshopped this and I made it a little bit darker because it's a little easier to see on the screen. But they plan out their pattern and then they're ready to go. And to begin, you're going to take your eye pin and start putting the beads on the eye pin. You want to follow your pattern. So looking at this, I can see I'm going to use kind of the generic version of these colors, whereas this is really a blush and kind of a cream and whatever. I'm just going to say yellow and orange. So you can see you probably can't see on the screen because they're so light, but there's a yellow and then there's a red and then there's a blue. So I'm following this, yellow, red, blue, orange, yellow, and it follows along. So you would put your beads on to follow your pattern. You would close up this end and then you would move on to the next one. So to close up the end, now with an eye pin, remember you already have one end that has the eye, the loop. So you need to make a loop on the other side. I feel like a pretty standard loop size in order to make those is leaving about a ½ inch on your wire. So I need to trim this down so that there's about a ½ inch of the wire sticking out. Like that. And then I'm going to move my pattern out of the way. I'm going to take my round nose pliers. I'm going to grab a hold of the end of that and make a loop. Make sure you check out the working with head pins and eye pins videos if you are not sure how to really use an eye pin. My kids do this project in Jewelry and Glass 3, so at this point they're very familiar with using eye pins. So you want to close that up. You want to make sure that it's closed completely because you don't want those beads to slide off. And then I generally make sure that it's kind of level. Okay, so now, because I didn't want to make you have to sit here and watch me bead all of these, I have all of my completed rows. So I have 7, just like on my pattern. Here, there are 7 rows, 7 segments. So from here, you want to string those on to another eye pin. So you should have an eye pin here and an eye pin here to connect them all together. So I'm going to start with my outer one, put that on, go to my next one. You want to make sure you keep them in order. That's really important or you're going to mess up your whole pattern. Oh, you know what? I forgot an important part here. Let me set these back down. Before I do that, I want to space these apart with a little rose gold seed bead. So I am using, you know, actually, I take that back. I'm going to use, instead of a seed bead, I'm going to use a rocaille bead because looking at these, I realized I'm going to, if I put a seed bead on, these are just going to slide over top of that. So I'm going to start by putting the rose gold bead on. I'm going to start with my first one, put that on. I'm going to put another rose gold one on like that. My next one. And if you want them to be closer together, so let me show you. If you can find kind of a happy medium of a size, you can do that. So let me show you what happens if we put the seed beads on. Okay, so a seed bead goes on. We do our first one. The only issue with this is you risk it kind of going over top of that. So for the sake of keeping my pattern close together, I like the seed beads better. If you're not as concerned with the pieces being right next to each other, then you can certainly put the rocaille beads on. So I'm putting these on, alternating between a seed bead and a segment. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish this side and complete the other side. And then I'm also going to, once I put these on, I'm going to trim my wire down and make a loop. So I'll end up with my whole completed section there. So as soon as I come back here in just a second, you'll see that part completed. Okay, so I now have my finished beaded segments here, the whole thing put together. I'm gonna lift it up, see if you can see this here. If you look really closely, you can see the pattern that is created. And obviously the darker your bead color, or the more contrast, so if you have really dark colors and really light colors, you're gonna be able to see that pattern more. So I connected both sides with an eye pin, trimmed off the extra and made a loop on each side. So now all that's left to do is to make a chain. You know, I want to make my little chain pieces here that are going to come out from each of the loops, and they're going to connect together. So in order to do that, I've already cut 3 of them. I'm going to show you how to cut the 4th. You'll just use your wire cutters, and you want to make sure that you're getting the same size. So even if that means you're counting the actual links on the chain, it's just important that they're the same size. So I'm going to line this one up here, and I'm going to cut it like that. So now I have my 4 pieces. What I want to do from here is connect these on to this, and these are roughly 2.5 inches, so depending on how long you need it to be will determine how long you need, depending on how big around your wrist is. I've mentioned before that the average wrist is anywhere from 6 to 8 inches around, so it just depends. You know, I have itty bitty little girls in my class, and then I have big football players, so the size of wrists vary quite a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my jump rings here and open one up. When you open a jump ring, always remember to twist it and don't pull it apart. I'm going to connect one strand of my chain onto that jump ring, like that. And then I'm going to hook that onto the loop of one side here and close that up. Okay, I'm going to do one of the other ones and the other 2, and then I'll show you how we're going to connect them together. So again, open the jump ring, hook on the chain, hook it through your loop. Close it up completely. Okay, and then on the other side, I already started these with the jump ring. I've found over the years it's very hard to make these videos without getting my head in the way of the screen, so I'm trying not to lean over my stuff too much here. Close that one up, and last one. And then what we're gonna do from here is connect both chains on each side. You can then finish it with a lobster clasp or toggle clasp, whatever you prefer. So on one side, we're gonna connect them together, maybe. Sometimes I don't have it in the right position there. And this one, and I'm gonna put the lobster clasp on this side. Close it up. So that's one side, and then the other side, I will just close up with a jump ring. If you want to add an additional jump ring as well, you can. Sometimes people don't want to hook their clasp onto the actual connector jump ring. They want like a second one on there, so it doesn't matter. You just have to keep in mind that the more jump rings you add, the more length it's going to add to the overall finished piece there. So this one and here, connect those. And there you go. That's the finished bracelet. Not too bad. A lot of steps, a little time consuming to put the beads on, but in the end, they're super cute when they're done. So you guys make sure you check back. We'll have more tutorials here in the future.
Thanks for watching this video. Make sure you stay connected with Urban Rhino on social media. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, comment below, and of course, subscribe to our channel.